Hi there! Yes, I look really drained in this light, but it doesn't matter. I've just woken up and I've been seized by two ideas. How many projects have I got on the go? I currently have 3 mocks on the go, 2 of which need like active monetary investment. But anyway, putting that aside, I want to do a new project! Whee! The first one are just actually ongoing, that's going to be a separate video. But the second project is this. Ta-da! Steinekonig released a new old build of the Natural History Museum. Now, I don't have the full second Natural History Museum anymore that I had, obviously, because I used it to expand my existing set, but I still have a load of parts left, and I also have a brick collection. And also these buildings are separate, so it's this bit, as you can see, that's the first book, instruction book, and this bit. So I thought if I make this whole building in different colours, I can do it, and there's a few bits that I want to change, like the colouring in those letters, but this is such an amazing old build. Like, wow, this is completely the vibe of my city, and I totally want this old build so badly. So that's what I'm doing. The reason I think it's pretty durable is because I still have a whole basket of like pretty much sealed bags from the second set that I bought because I didn't have to use them. I definitely took quite a lot of stuff out, so I don't know how far I'm gonna get. I'm just gonna start and see what happens because I'm in a mood right now to build. I want to build this thing. I'm very excited, so let's do it. Mills plate is ready. I've made a good start. So these are all the parts remaining that I still had in the bags. Everything else from the bags I had opened to extend, I already sorted in my part. Yeah, I'm having fun. It's good. As you can see, I'm making really good progress. I've done quite a lot already. I really love the library, which actually has books. Also, this technique to make this sort of like church tower 3 entry is just genuinely really fun. It's sideways build and geniusly designed. I think it's so effective. And this is the kind of stuff I really look for in old builds. I want them to surprise me and to delight me whilst I'm building them. And this is just so much like that. If you have eagle eyes, you may spot I've changed the pattern on this a little bit. I kind of tried to add a bit more of a brick effect because these tiles are in my mock anyway, so I had to use my own collection, and it was easier to use 1x1s and 1x2s because I didn't have enough 1x2s to do the pattern, because the original design is just 1x2s all the way down. So that's kind of why I've done this. I feel like it just creates like more of a brick effect, so I think it looks really good. I was getting a little bit bored with the interiors for a bit because they are quite sparse, and I think interiors are generally the worst part of old builds because really they focus on having a nice facade and the rest is sort of like improvised. So I was kind of like getting a bit like but then I did a technique for making this whole wall at this angle and everything, and it's just super ingenious how these like windows are slotted in. And it just uses so many cool techniques and it looks just so effective. So that made up for all of that. As you're doing old builds, you go, that might be my thing, and then you do something that's like, that's brilliant, because the reasons that they are boring sometimes or a bit frustrating is because they obviously have really limited parts, but because they have really limited parts, you end up doing some cool techniques to create cool things. So far, the exteriors facades have been just so cool and beautiful and brilliant design. Like when I built a real Lego set, I always really like to like do techniques that I wouldn't have done myself. So when an old build does the same, I'm like, yes, this is what I'm here for. Because if I buy expensive instructions, I want to be delighted. I want to have a good experience, and it's fun when it challenges you and it makes you go, wow, that's so smart. I wouldn't have thought of this, instead of just stacking bricks. And this one in particular, this is probably the best one I've done in ages for that kind of building. The same goes for like the Steinekonig old build that I did for the corner garage. I think that was the first time I had an old build, and that delighted me so much. And it kind of, this old build that I'm doing now is really kind of just reminding me of how just exciting that was. And really the fact that the interiors are a little bit like meh kind of doesn't matter, because my city is very much just facades. It doesn't really matter that the interiors aren't the best or most digital thing ever. I can live with that. Maybe other people would want to make it their own. I'm just enjoying following instructions, if I'm really honest. Oh my god, I finished! Alright, full disclosure, I changed a few things, obviously, as you know, because I was using my own parts. You can see a few bits here, like that's different to the original picture. There is the original picture. This pattern on the front here is different. I had to improvise a little bit more here, but basically, generally when I try to improvise, it was with parts that came to the same effect. This one, those bits should be dark tan, but those bits should be tan. But as you can see, I ran out. Only 2 things I really still need are these 1x3s, Also, for some reason, I only had one door that fitted there. I don't know why, but I've got another one on order, so that'll be here. There we go. I mean, the light is quite bad at the minute because it's really dark, because it's quite late at night, and I haven't got my city lights on because I thought I'd have them blend in more like this. I think it looks really nice. It's making me want to change a few bits about this roof structure because it feels really flat and square and a bit inelegant compared to sort of like the rest of the ones here. These are a bit more polished, so I may do a bit of changing to that, but I think that works quite well. Overall, I'm really happy with this, and I can't wait to do a proper sit down and chat to you about it. Overall, I would say it's a really good old build, but just like any other old build, the interior is always going to feel more sparse, and basically everything is going to be sacrificed so that the facade will look good. However, this old build is chock full of brilliant techniques. Honestly, I had so much fun building this, just because the designer is so limited by the parts they have. There's just so much ingenious thinking to make it still look really good. And I think if you want a really fun challenge and learn how bricks can connect and make like amazing stuff, please do this old build because it's so much fun. Don't get me wrong, there's a few things that are a bit tricky, and there's various bits that like aren't perfect. You can obviously always like enhance it yourself. Like I've done a little bit because I was kind of forced to use my own parts because I didn't have a whole separate set, but I just think it's such a fun build to do. It was inspiring, it was beautiful. I think it works so well in my city. The interiors aren't like my favorite, but like I wasn't expecting that from an old build. I wanted the exterior to look good, and it bloody does. There is a few tricky things, like the library sign. To add one of the letters, you're basically just balancing bricks, which is quite tricky. And there was a few bits that didn't quite connect. There's I think 2 things that I couldn't work out in instructions, but overall the instructions were like so detailed, and like it was on every page it was telling you it was like what color it was, just to make sure that you didn't confuse it. These are really quite pricey instructions for this build, but when you're building it you can see why. Like this is a really advanced model, and it must have taken him ages, point 1 to design it, but point 2 to make really good instructions for it, and I honestly think it's a fair price. I'm happy to pay a bit more so that the designer feels like it's worth it to really make sure that the instructions are done well, and I really feel like these instructions were really well done and really clear in general, and I'm so glad that he took the time to make them because this is beautiful, and I really hope that some of you will build it as well. I obviously haven't built the side building, a 1921 build like this one. I did want to build it originally, I was going to recolor it, but I realised that actually a lot of the parts that made the detailing I haven't got anymore. Because I wanted to recolor it effectively, instead of an old build, it would be like just a mock, because I'd have to buy all the parts for it. And at the moment I have so many projects going on that are costing money, I can't add another one, so I'm going to leave that building. But I may build it in the future because I have the instructions now anyway. I hope you liked sort of seeing this old build. This build has just made me really excited. If you're sort of like uninspired or want a new modular building, this is fantastic. If you don't want as much olive green, obviously either in the central tower of the one that I've just done, you can change the olive green to something else, but you'll have to buy those parts. Or you can change the 1921 building, but that is mostly made out of olive green parts. The library building does use olive green parts at the back as well, but you can't see that from the facade, so it doesn't really matter. This was brilliant. This was exactly what I needed. It was like the perfect build for me because for ages now, I've been so stuck on what to put next to my office mock because I wasn't sure what I wanted there. It kept being sort of like not quite working for me. And this was like basically exactly what I needed in that area. And it added like the old town vibe, it added like interest in like different sides. And I have another remodel coming that I'm working on, but I'm currently buying parts for it and it's expensive, but that is coming. I think that may eventually go next to this because the colours in that are going to look really nice. So that would probably finish off that row, which I'm really excited for because that would mean that one of my shelves is finished. Apart from that, I moved my Gandalf statue in the market and I'm going to have to replace it with something, and I can't decide what. If it's going to be a statue or if it's going to be a fountain, I just can't decide. Anyway, I'm going to just keep waffling on, so I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching me build this. I hope you had fun. The link to these instructions is obviously down in the description. Like, please go buy it. Support this very, very talented creator because, oh my god, he is brilliant to be able to design something like this. And yeah, if you end up building it, let me know. Tag me on Instagram so I can see it. I really love to see how you would integrate it into your city. And yeah, thank you for being here. I will see you super soon because there's more old build fun coming. Goodbye! How do?